Mr. Pretorius, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. My understanding is that you were the person who suggested that there be more mortuary vans that are brought in to Stilfontein. Tell us what you were anticipating, and is it perhaps materializing based on what you foresaw?
Well, good evening, and it's great to have, thank you for having me. Yes, I think with the increase in the bodies that have been discovered for the last 3 days, it was important for us to have enough services on the ground. And I think it was all the stakeholders together just to that have decided to ensure that we do have enough of the services available, that we can have enough vehicles and also ERM support that could handle the amount of bodies that we pulled out of the ground.
Yeah, you have been on the site for some time. Are you able to describe for us what you are able to see as some of the miners are brought up, those who are alive, and those who have sadly passed away? What can you tell us about the actual operation?
Yeah, I think from all of our stakeholders and also all of the community members, it's a mixed bag of emotions that we are experiencing. It is exciting to see 240 plus miners already been rescued that are alive. They are not looking that healthy, but they are doing well and they would survive, as they are very malnourished. You can even see the paleness on their skin. Some of them, when they come out, they cannot even stand. But also it is a very sad day to see all the pathology vans already in 3 days getting close to 80 bodies that have been retrieved. And it is the estimate that we will get close to 100 bodies. It is for us as stakeholders that have asked from the beginning, from November, where we have been busy with the Minister and also been tasked in a rescue task team here at Stilfontein. We have been asking since then for professional enhancement to what the community has been doing. Even then, when we pulled out the bodies, one dead body, 2 or 3 on a day, was quite traumatic for us at that time. And now seeing these many bodies being retrieved, the vans lining up as you guys have indicated, seeing that it's a grim outlook on what could have been different. And it was our cry from the start to have this operation a little bit earlier, even before the December holidays started.
The understanding, Mr. Pretorius, is that some of the bodies, as they are being brought to the surface, they are dismembered. Are you able to confirm that? And if so, what would have resulted in the dismembering of some of these bodies?
According to our conversations with the volunteers that have gone down, there were definitely some bodies that were without limbs, without members, some even where there's been some dismembering from the top. We don't know exactly. Of course, we don't know exactly because we were not there when it happened. But it is assumed that those bodies were the bodies that were retrieved from shaft 10, where they have tried to get out and they couldn't make it to the top, or as they were climbing out, that they fell down. It is also reported to us that some of them that have tried to get out from shaft 10 are still somewhere between the bottom and the top, and some effort will have to be made to go down there to see how many bodies they can find down shaft 10.
I'm very sorry for this next question, but I guess we have to ask. It is quite shattering, just the graphic nature of what you've just explained. When you say some of the bodies from the top, and you were sort of making hand gestures, are you suggesting that some of the bodies do not have heads? In other words, they've been decapitated?
I don't know exactly. With our conversations, there were some comments that were alluding to it. So I don't want to confirm or deny, but yes, there was some disfigurement. I don't know if it was completely decapitated, but there was some graphic comments that were made. The volunteers that were speaking to us, they are quite traumatized by what they have seen.
I can imagine it is a traumatic situation. Now, the number of pathology vans, this is a final question to you. The number of pathology vans there, is it a sign that whenever the bodies are brought to the surface, they are still kept within the site? And if so, when is it anticipated that they will then be loaded onto the mortuary vans?
Well, unfortunately for us as the stakeholders, we are not close enough to the operation to see exactly what is being done with the dead bodies. Everything that that you just mentioned, it will be pure assumption, and I don't want to make assumptions, so we do not know. We were assuming that some of the bodies were removed on day 1 and day 2, so we do not know at all how many bodies are still here, but seeing the amount of vans that are here, there could be a few.
And just lastly, I know it was my final question, just lastly, you spoke about the volunteers that you are working closely with. There are those that are so close to the situation that they actually literally go down with the cage in order to, I guess, coordinate those that get on the cage and then come up to the surface while the others are perhaps trying to line those that are deceased. The understanding is that at least one of these people is actually so traumatized not only by the sight of what they are seeing, but by the smell that they have not been able to eat for 2 days. What kind of stories are you hearing in that regard?
Yes, that specifically I've not heard, but I do know they have explicitly expressed their trauma in seeing the amount of bodies and also seeing the condition of some of the bodies, and then thirdly also the smell. We did receive, when they were reporting the 109 bodies down at the bottom, the letter did ask for masks because of the smell, and I can imagine that when some of these bodies have been down there and have been deceased for quite some time, that the smell would be unbearable.
Jan Pretorius, thank you very much for your time and what you have been able to detail for us. He is with the Mahlasedi Foundation, and just so graphic in nature, the conversation we've just had. And I do apologize if this for you is just too traumatic to handle. It is the situation that is unfolding at Stilfontein.